The recent crackdown on corruption in Ukraine led by President Volodymyr Zelensky is a direct response to a confluence of political and military pressures underlined by a complex interplay of internal dynamics and external challenges. President Zelensky's declining popularity is one of the key drivers behind this intensified anti-corruption stance. His leadership has been increasingly criticized for prolonging the conflict and allegations of financial misconduct. Such circumstances often compel leaders to adopt stringent measures to regain public trust and assert their authority.
Welcome to TFI Global, the antidote to mass delusion.
Corruption in Ukraine has long been a pervasive issue, deeply embedded in the country's socio-political fabric for decades. It has manifested in various forms, significantly impacting the nation's development and the well-being of its citizens. The shadow of corruption has continuously drained vital resources, undermining public trust and the integrity of governmental institutions. Historically, oligarchs in Ukraine have exerted excessive influence, often overriding the rule of law. The justice system frequently succumbed to the sway of financial power, leading to a distorted and unfair legal process. Additionally, the country's bureaucratic system has been notoriously inefficient and overcomplicated, impeding progress and development. The detrimental effects of this systemic corruption have been wide-ranging. Economically, Ukraine has struggled to achieve its full potential, with corruption acting as a major barrier to growth. The issue has also been a deterrent for foreign investors who are often hesitant to engage with a system rife with corruption. Public sentiment has been significantly affected, with widespread discontent and frustration directed towards the government and its failure to effectively address these deep-rooted problems. The onset of the NATO-Russia war in 2022 further exacerbated Ukraine's challenges. Amidst the conflict, alarming reports emerged suggesting involvement of President Zelensky and his inner circle in widespread embezzlement. Furthermore, there have been concerning reports indicating that aid directed towards Ukraine is not reaching the intended recipients, the Ukrainian people. Before becoming the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky reported a relatively modest income, approximately 28 million hryvnias, equivalent to around $750,000. However, since assuming office, his estimated net worth has reportedly surged to an astonishing $20 million. This significant escalation in wealth, particularly under the backdrop of Ukraine's conflict with Russia and the country's economic difficulties, drew notable scrutiny and suspicion. The rapid increase in Zelensky's financial capacity over such a brief period has fueled widespread speculation and concern. In a country grappling with corruption and economic challenges, such a disparity in wealth accumulation raises serious questions about its origins and legitimacy. Amid these financial revelations, reports surfaced of Zelensky's wife engaging in opulent activities such as a luxurious shopping spree in Paris. These public displays of affluence, especially in a time of national hardship, contributed to the growing public unease and perception of disconnect between the country's ruling elite and the everyday struggles of common, regular Ukrainian citizens. Adding to the controversy, journalist Shahzad Nasser revealed that President Zelensky acquired two expensive yachts. The purchases, allegedly facilitated by the Shafir brothers, Sergei and Boris, close associates of Volodymyr Zelensky, placed the yachts in prominent locations in Abu Dhabi and Antibes. Furthermore, Olga Kyashko, Zelensky's mother-in-law, reportedly acquired a $5 million sea-facing villa. This transaction too is mired in controversy and scandal given the death of the journalist who reported the story. These developments occurring amidst a period of significant national distress intensified concerns about the disparity between the leadership's lifestyle and the realities faced by Ukrainian populace. The situation underscored the need for transparency and accountability in governance, especially in times of dire crisis. But Zelensky had another idea. While allegations of personal corruption involving President Zelensky remain sidelined, his government has simultaneously been proactive in addressing high-profile corruption cases, implementing anti-corruption reforms and strengthening regulatory oversight. Recently, Ukraine's security service, the SBU disclosed a significant corruption scandal involving arms procurement by the military valued at approximately $40 million. The SBU's investigation targeted 5 senior individuals connected to the Ministry of Defense and an arms supplier, identifying them as key figures in this fraudulent activity. The case revolves around a contract signed in August 2022 for the supply of 100,000 mortar shells. Despite the advance payment for these arms, with some of the funds being transferred abroad, the contracted munitions were never delivered. This failure was particularly egregious given the timing of the contract, which was established 6 months after Russia began its special ops in Ukraine, a period when such military supplies were crucial. The SBU's probe brought to light the involvement of officials from the Ministry of Defense and managers from the Lviv arsenal, a prominent arms supplier. They are accused of embezzling nearly $1.5 billion in this fraudulent arms deal. The investigation indicated that both former and current high-ranking defense military officials, along with heads of associated companies, participated in this misappropriation of funds. Highlighting the severity of this corruption scandal, the SBU noted that despite the urgency and necessity of these arms during a critical period of the war, not a single artillery shell from this contract was ever delivered. In a significant development, one of the suspects implicated in this scandal was apprehended while allegedly attempting to flee Ukraine and is currently detained. Furthering the efforts to rectify the situation, Ukraine's Prosecutor General has announced that the misappropriated funds have been seized. He said that there is a commitment to ensuring that these funds are redirected back to the country's defense budget. So, apparently, this action should underscore the ongoing challenges Ukraine faces in corruption, especially within its defense sector, and the government's ongoing efforts to address these systemic issues, right? But nah. The recent crackdown on corruption in Ukraine led by President Volodymyr Zelensky is a direct response to a confluence of political and military pressures underlined by a complex interplay of internal dynamics and external challenges. President Zelensky's declining popularity is one of the key drivers behind this intensified anti-corruption stance. His leadership has been increasingly criticized for prolonging the conflict and allegations of financial misconduct. Such circumstances often compel leaders to adopt stringent measures to regain public trust and assert their authority. The relationship between Zelensky and Ukraine's military chief, General Valery Zaluzhny, is the reason behind the situation. Zaluzhny, widely favored as a potential successor to the presidency, represents a significant political challenge for Zelensky. The discovery of a covert listening device in an office linked to Zaluzhny last year heightened tensions between the two. Although the device was found to be non-functional, its mere presence suggested a breach of trust and an escalation of internal power struggles. The discord between Zaluzhny and Zelensky was further exacerbated by Zaluzhny's public statement about the Ukrainian military's need for 20,000 additional personnel each month. The statement, set against the backdrop of Ukraine's daily casualties ranging from 650 to 800, the loss of strategic regions like Donbass and Adivka to Russian control, spotlighted the dire situation on the ground. Furthermore, Zaluzhny's hesitancy to commit to long-term plans, coupled with his caution about the potential defeat of the Ukrainian army, angered Zelensky. The president's ambition for a prolonged conflict akin to a 20-year Afghanistan plan stood in stark contrast to Zaluzhny's more cautious and pragmatic approach. Zaluzhny's recommendation for a strategic retreat, seen as a pragmatic military decision, clashes with the political decisions that currently favor maintaining positions that are untenable in the long term. These multi-layered issues, encompassing political rivalries, military strategies, and the ongoing conflict, have created an environment where Zelensky's crackdown on corruption could be interpreted as an attempt to consolidate power and reassert control. By targeting high-profile corruption cases and enforcing reforms, Zelensky is seeking to demonstrate decisive leadership and restore confidence in his administration, especially in a context where public trust has been eroded due to corruption and mismanagement. So this crackdown appears to be an effort by President Zelensky to transform the Ukrainian military into a force loyal primarily to him, while simultaneously marginalizing General Zaluzhny. Given the numerous challenges Zelensky has already navigated, it raises the question of how much longer he can maintain his position in the face of ongoing political and military pressures. No more lifelines.